Oh, great. Okay, well, we're back. We're going to be talking content marketing today.
Yeah.
So strap in.
Strap in.
This
Content is king
it,
and queen.
and queen. Yeah. So this is, we'll talk about a few different things. We'll talk about how we do content.
Yeah.
I think that's really insightful for a lot of businesses, and learning from people that are doing it and seeing great success. That's one area.
The benefits of it. So
Yep.
why do content?
Why? Yeah.
Yep.
Why implement? Why invest into content marketing? And then I think we'll put together as well some recommendations of, if you are going in content marketing, if you're going to invest into it, or if you're going to do it yourself, recommendations of kind of where to get started.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like the quick summary of what we'll go over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to go into, but
our content calendar, we've got a content calendar in the agency. That's how we operate. We have a content calendar of articles, content that we're going to be developing, whether that's a podcast, whether it's email, whether it's social blogs, articles, newsletter, you name it. It's mapped out. We have essentially a very large Excel document that has everything in it, with dates, planners, timeframes, and assigned people.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And works, and is kind of headed by our content team / and our SEO team as well. And it is just a continuation of that distribution of, we create one form of content and then we see how we can serve that one piece of content across different channels, depending on its where it's best suited, I suppose, is the idea. So if we're creating a piece of content today, as in what we're talking about content, talking about content marketing, does this podcast, this video, have ability to be distributed elsewhere, and how can it be distributed elsewhere?
It does.
It definitely does. But how we distribute it across different channels. And I think that's kind of the crux of it, is looking at, when you're creating,
it's holistic.
You create content for different channels, and you want to be able to create pieces, articles, or video that can be distributed across multiple channels while you're only having to create it once, because that also allows you to hit a larger audience.
Saves time.
A different audience, and yes, it does. It saves time. You're not creating unique content for each. Now, you can do that, and generally you will see a better result if you're creating tailored content to particular channels. But as a gist, having a framework to be able to at least create content around particular topics and subject matters to distribute across it all is the goal. So that's a long story short summary of
content marketing.
What content marketing is.
Yeah.
So does it work?
Yeah. So does it work? So when we speak about content marketing, it covers a number of different areas, like you spoke about. Specifically for content marketing in SEO, so blog pieces. It definitely helps in so many different ways. So I could go down a rabbit hole with this. But like that podcast we spoke about with, I think it was Sem's report of URLs in the top 20 positions, or generate traffic to the website.
Generating traffic on relevant information within your site radius.
If that makes sense. And so
that's I can break that down later.
But in terms of blog content, typically is beneficial to target low keyword difficulty, long tail search terms. So the benefit of that is that there's less competition that have content that speaks to that keyword, so you're able to rank for it better or quicker. And you're able to then subsequently start generating traffic to that blog piece, which then ultimately shows Google that you're ranking, you're getting traffic, high relevant traffic to your website, which then signals to Google that your website is a trustworthy source of information within your particular subject matter. And then Google then promotes growth to your website as a whole, not only for the blog piece, but then also starts looking at, the other content on your website. And then you're more able to obtain relevant keywords across the site.
That makes sense.
If that makes sense.
So to give you an example, generally speaking, someone like a real estate agent there'll be multiple real estate agents in Brisbane. We'll use Brisbane as an example on this.
Yeah.
And most people will have dedicated landing pages that are going to be speaking to real estate agent in Brisbane. That's the primary key term. That's what people are going to be searching for.
Highly competitive.
Very competitive.
Yeah.
So the option is to then be able to create content of questions that are related.
Bless you, mate.
Thank you. Questions that are related to that topic or your industry that are obtainable that you could write about and rank for within the topic or that subject matter or your industry. So real estate agent Brisbane, really hard term to rank for, lots of competitors.
Yeah.
How to choose a real estate agent in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Or the best real estate agents in Brisbane, or
we could go into like niche, different types of real estate agents, like different property types.
Yeah. So you could be looking at how to choose a property manager.
Yeah.
What's included when selling a property, what's included when buying a property, how the step-by-step guide on how to sell a property.
Or even like best suburbs for
future investments.
Families or you know, stuff like that.
Exactly. And you become a leader in that space because you can talk about that subject matter. So yeah, real estate agent Brisbane is the primary key term, but yeah, a 5-step guide on how to sell your house is relevant to requiring generally a real estate agent still, but people will be looking at the process of how to sell a house.
Yeah.
There will be lower search volume, but also a lower KD, so you can obtain ranking for that content.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to then structure content around your business. So you always want to make sure that, you know, you can be on the edge, I feel. You can be on the edge of your industry or at the edge of your niche.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure that you're writing then content to what your consumers would be looking for, what your audience are looking for.
Yeah.
And you'll know these. They're generally the questions that people ask you, you know. How much are real estate fees? That's an article.
Yeah.
How much does it cost in marketing to sell a house?
Yeah.
That's an article.
Yeah. Think of questions that your consumers typically ask you as part of the sales process.
Yep. If you have a sales team, get them to keep a list on this.
Exactly.
And keep track of those questions because those questions will be common in SERPs as well.
Because if they're asking you, they're obviously also Googling it as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's key because the thing is, I always like to try and like step back out of the SEO world and think about a user and like how Google would look at things because Google ultimately wants to provide the best experience for a user.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you're a new real estate company in Brisbane, obviously you're wanting to rank for real estate agent Brisbane or real estate Brisbane. But because it is such a competitive keyword, if a user was to land on your website by chance, if you did rank for that keyword, what signals would show them that you're the best choice for them? Like what information would help them decide to go with you?
Yeah.
And that's how Google, I feel, looks at websites also.
Yeah, I agree.
Google looks at a website as like, okay, well, you've got all this industry expert knowledge and blog articles speaking about all these common questions or queries that people are looking for. Obviously, you must be a trustworthy source of information within the real estate industry and you're a Brisbane business, so we're going to promote growth for you.
Yeah.
And that's the same as a user, as part of the user journey. I know when I look on a website, if I'm shopping around or looking for an electrician or anything.
Any service or professional service.
I land on the website, but I also want to be instilled of trust and credibility of like they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that's why you know, users navigate across the web. And you can put on heat mapping technology to have a look at it and see, and it's interesting to see where people click through and have a look.
Yeah.
And you can see that decision-making process of, you know, they're looking for that trust. They're looking for, oh, they've got information on this, or they've answered this question. And it's all these messages and all this like information on a website that helps them be like, okay, well, I'm going to go with you. And that's how Google, that I feel Google ranks a website. It looks at all these factors. So
of course, yeah, and we can see that in the SEM report that there is ranking factors that are attributed to that.
Yeah.
And I think then as part of that content strategy of when you're creating all of this content and distributing it to an existing audience, you know, if you've got an email database and you've got, you know, 10, 20, 30,000 people, then you can be sharing it with those people for the next time and the reoccurring transaction potentially, depending on whether you're in, you know, e-com or
a referral
or a service, that is something that keeps you front of mind for them on that next decision.
Yeah.
So again, I think it's something that is overlooked,
Yeah, definitely.
heavily overlooked. And I think maybe given some, indication of what content can do, we've implemented a content marketing strategy for the agency, as I said. I'm happy to share the insight on it. That's what we do here. We've invested heavily over the last 6 to 12 months. I'd say 6 months realistically.
Super aggressive.
Super aggressive. We've kind of started that threshold Feb March 24. So yeah, we're just going over 6 months now, 6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
And yeah, our acquisition has tripled.
We're busy.
We're very busy. The traffic on our website has, tripled. The amount of people that recognize us as a brand, a leader, and a position within the industry is huge. Whether it's from new partnerships, new referral partnerships as well, publications, being featured, interviews, conversations with different industry leaders in different product and service,
or even previous clients who have re-engaged with us to be like, oh, I've been actually following along with your content.
Exactly.
And they may have not had the money to invest in it to continue with us, but they're using our content as a guide to do it themselves.
Exactly.
And it's all value there, which could then potentially turn into a referral. But we're top of mind for
exactly. And this is what it's about, I think, of creating that holistic strategy that answers all the questions that people may have about your business, or related services in your business, or providing just value and resource to people, I think is equally key. Like, I don't feel that you should be looking at everything to drive an ROI.
No.
This doesn't drive an ROI necessarily. The
Not
podcast
yet.
is, saying that, potentially down the track, but realistically it is about driving
value.
Yeah, we want to give value, and businesses that are giving value to their audience and to different people is the ones that I see as succeeding and look
pays
to be
off in the
succeeding.
long run as well.
I think so. It's about that investment. So yeah.
Another thing,
Go for it.
speaking of content, I had a interesting conversation with the clients earlier this week, and he said, "Oh, potential new onboarding, but his website's ranking really well for all his primary high intent transactional keywords."
Had a similar conversation this week with somebody else, but yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
and the industry he's in isn't very competitive. It's very niche. And he said, "Oh, well, I'm ranking really well. So do I need to do SEO? Like, what other opportunity is there for me to do SEO?"
Yeah.
Initially, I was sort of stumped because I looked at the website and I'm like, yeah.
If you rank first for everything,
You're
do I need to invest?
You're ranking well. But there's heaps of opportunity with that. So you can go into look at the website as a whole and have a look at how you can best capture users, because you are best capture the traffic on your website, and optimize that journey visually. However, for his industry specifically, there's heaps of search for, targeting the users that aren't necessarily in that purchase mindset yet.
Yeah.
Searching that transactional keyword, but there's opportunity to target top of funnel users who, are searching for a solution but may not know they actually need what this guy sells.
Yeah.
And that's where content comes in. So and that's a component of his website that was missing is, there's so much search and questions and queries about his product and his service.
Yeah.
We can start actually attracting those users to your website also.
Yeah.
So and the thing with SEO is there's so much you can do with an SEO campaign. And although, the ultimate goal is to get to rank number one for your primary focus keyword, but once you hit that, you've achieved your goal. But there's so much more you can build off that to then, obviously depending on your business goal and everything. But
I do
there's
think
always so much more you can do.
Yeah, I do think that's overlooked. I think a lot of people in the SEO industry, whether it's consultants, freelancers, or agencies, or even business owners as well, that have a preconceived notion of what they're looking to rank for, sometimes overlook the vastness of opportunity. So, and I'll openly say that we did that from early, an early infancy stage of our
this
SEO.
keyword
It's like
first.
Exactly. You look at a cluster of 10 keywords, and you're like, these are the 10 keywords for our business. These are the ones that are SQLs. These are the ones that are sales qualified leads. They're the ones that are going to drive us business.
Yeah.
That's it. They're the only 10 that we need.
Yeah.
And then we did our, comprehensive
competitor analysis and
comp
deep
analysis,
dive
and we did our content calendar.
Yeah.
And we what are we talking? 2, 3, 400 keywords now,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
And we're still adding daily. We're adding. It's here's another, here's another, here's another. And we've gone from these 10 ideal keywords that's what we need to rank for. These are the primary, these are the SQL drivers to, no, actually there's like 4, 5, 6, 700 keywords here.
There's so
and
much.
and when I say 6, 700 keywords, I'm talking about primary ranking terms, not clusters. Clusters, we're talking 10, 20, 30,000 keywords.
Yeah.
We're talking primary keywords of focus, which is page content, pages that will be created. We're talking 3, 4, 500 pages that are relevant to our business, and whether they're top of funnel, mid funnel, bottom of funnel, some being SQL drivers, some being informative, some being cross-sell intent, some being nurture sequencing, some being lead magnets.
You're hitting everyone.
All of them are valuable to the business.
Exactly.
And some of the content that we have created over the past 6 months, 2, 3 years ago, we would have looked at and gone, oh, no, that's not a keyword that you need, yet is generating us leads.
Yeah.
And it's generating us sales and generating us a transaction. And this is the same for the businesses that we work with, that we're creating content for businesses that they may have that preconceived notion of, I want to just rank first for real estate Brisbane or plumber Sydney or, accountant Melbourne, whatever. I'm using very broad hypotheticals here.
Yeah.
Yet they're not the long tail keywords actually that potentially have a higher intent and do a better job in converting.
Exactly.
And this is where the strategy comes in from a content calendar, and actually being able to understand the intent, understand the keywords that are achievable, understand ones that are within your niche, ones that are...
I think intent's everything. Intent's everything.
It is.
Even...
I can't say this because it's not released yet, but you'll see it coming up in our blog in the next 2 to 3 days. But the example that I gave you yesterday with the listicle concept that's slightly out of our niche, yet would directly correlate to a transaction within our niche.
Like 3 years ago?
Would never have thought of it.
No.
But I don't know, everyone now is sat waiting for this blog, so go and have a look at.
Just wait.
Yeah. But it is fantastic.
Yeah. It's a winner.
Clever cross-sell intent.
Yeah.
And the market that we're going into with that has next to no competitive, it's not competitive, there's no competition within the space. We'll dominate the space within the matter of a couple of days, if not a couple of weeks. It's a no-brainer. But it came from, again, that content marketing strategy and doing a content planner and doing some research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could talk about content for days.
We are. It's
another...
We're probably at like 20 minutes for this already, but anyway, we can...
Yeah. I think another important thing to remember as well is that when someone is searching, your primary focus keyword of, for example, real estate agent Brisbane.
Sure.
When they land on the website, they may not be ready to purchase in that moment.
No.
They may just still be in that, research phase of their journey of, they're having a look at your website as well as like 3 other competitors in the same, real estate agent Brisbane search. So by having blogs that, they may look at you, okay, cool. Then they might have a question about best properties to purchase in Brisbane for a small family.
Yeah.
Very specific, but whatever. If you have a blog article that then ranks for that also, you're signaling to them, oh, these are the guys to go with, if you're, and that's I think it's such an important thing to remember is that like when someone lands on your website, they may not be ready to purchase straight away. So reinforcing your brand in front of them when they're searching for other long-tailed queries that's relevant to what they're looking for instills that trust and instills that potential for conversion by being present for them at each phase of their journey.
Yeah.
I think that's content's just king.
Content has become a huge part of marketing.
Yeah.
A lot of digital marketing.
Quality content.
A lot of traditional marketing. A lot of traditional marketing is coming back round. But a lot of digital marketing by default is saturated. So a lot of the normal digital marketing stuff that is being implemented and has been implemented for the past 5 years is at a point of saturation of where it doesn't work as well as it used to. No. So I was listening to a podcast this morning talking about YouTube and saying that how YouTube's going to be the next platform, is going to be the platform for the decade.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Yeah, that was a conversation that was, debated conversation, but they're talking about it being the platform for the decade and being somebody that is creating content and putting video content out there, putting different forms of content and different medium is what is going to set you apart, because outside of that, everything else is somewhat done, replicated, already saturated.
Yeah.
So you have to be unique, different, and set yourself apart. And
that's
the only
where
way
humans
that you can,
come in.
and this is where the human part comes in.
Yeah.
So I think we'll leave it at that. That is
we could do another 6 podcasts on this.
We could. I think some takeaways for you. Take the time, do some research, and
map out a calendar.
Work with your sales team. If you've got an internal sales team, work with your sales team. Look for the questions that people are potentially asking. Write them down, write content for them, and get them into a blog on your website. Then potentially repurpose it. Look at how you can repurpose it through email or through social channels.
Yeah.
LinkedIn's fantastic if you're in the B2B segment as well.
Yeah.
And you can... look at how you can leverage your internal resource to be able to do it as well, I think, without potentially investing externally. You can invest to an agency to do it. It is a lot of work, so it can be quite expensive.
Yeah.
But I think, have a look at your internal resource of where you could distribute that. And even if you can get a couple of hours every single week or month into it, it's only going to compound and do well for your business. So content marketing. Start today. There you go. Thanks again.
Awesome.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for our next episode.